While we wait to hear from Christine Blasey Ford, Brett Kavanaugh's newest named accuser is speaking out. Julie Swetnick claims she witnessed Kavanaugh's alleged excessive drinking and inappropriate sexual behavior in the 1980s. She spoke to Showtime, that is a division of CBS, with her attorney, Michael Avenatti.
Brett Kavanaugh is going for a seat where he's going to have that seat on the Supreme Court for the rest of his life. And if he's going to have that seat legitimately, all of these things should be investigated, because from what I experienced firsthand, I don't think he belongs on the Supreme Court. And I just want the facts.
Kavanaugh says the incidents, which Julie Swetnick has described, never happened. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who sits on the Judiciary Committee, has defended Kavanaugh throughout his confirmation. Senator Graham is with us this morning. Good morning.
Thank you.
You just heard Julie Swetnick. She spoke with Showtime. Why not allow her an opportunity to speak before this committee?
We've been asking her to come forward and submit to an interview. And if you expect me to believe that Brett Kavanaugh was a serial rapist when he was a sophomore or junior in high school, and he stopped and never did it again, you expect me to believe that any reasonable person would go to 10 parties where people are being drugged and raped and not tell anybody about it? I don't believe it. She's on the circus Showtime. She's been asked to come before the committee. Everything in this man's life, the women who do know him say this is not true, this is not Brett Kavanaugh. Again, how many people, what reasonable person would keep going back to a party where people are being drugged and raped and not tell anything, not tell anybody about it, not warn their girlfriends, subject themselves to this kind of terror? I don't believe this.
So you're fine with the vote tomorrow, no matter what you hear today?
Here's what I'm looking for from Ms. Ford. Yeah, I think the accusation number 3 is just complete garbage. I think the anonymous accusation is anonymous. I think the 5th accusation was recanted. I think the Ramirez accusation wasn't printed by the New York Times for a reason. I think that every woman who's ever known Brett Kavanaugh has vouched for him as being a good guy. Everybody that I've known has worked with him 20 years says he's a fine man. I don't think he's a Bill Cosby. I think he's a good, decent guy. As to Ms. Ford, something may have happened to her, but I'm going to look at this as a lawyer. If you brought me this case that's 35 years old, and you made an accusation against Brett Kavanaugh or anyone else, and you couldn't tell me the location, the date, and every person you named that was there said it didn't happen, you couldn't get a warrant.
All right, so you're a former judge advocate general from the U.S. Air Force.
I've been a judge, I've been a defense counsel and prosecutor.
So why aren't you doing the questioning then of Dr. Ford? Are Republicans afraid of what you'll look like?
It's been 20 years since I've done a case. The politics of this are pretty real. I get 5 minutes. We're going to take a professional litigator and give them the time they need to ask questions.
You got to admit, it looks pretty bad when there's only Republicans, men, on your side of the aisle.
All I can say, it didn't look bad when I voted for Sotomayor and Kagan. I'm a Republican white guy from South Carolina. When I voted for Sotomayor and Judge Kagan, I thought they were qualified. I would never do to them what they're doing to Kavanaugh. The presumption of innocence has been stripped by Democratic colleagues. They sat on this information. The accusation is enough. It doesn't have to be corroborated. What kind of world are we living in? You know why I've been defending Brett Kavanaugh? I think he's a good man. This whole process has been disgusting. I can vote for somebody from the other side. I will not be part of a Senate that loses every sense of fairness and abandons the rule of law. We're talking about the rule of law here, except when it comes to Trump and his nominees.
Dr. Ford has said she's terrified. She's terrified about coming forward.
Sure,
I mean, she's not just talking to you guys. She's got a camera in her face before the American people. And I've read her opening statement, more than 2,000 words, in which she says when she alleges that Judge Kavanaugh, then in high school, put his hand over her mouth, that it terrified her and that it has impacted her life. Why don't you believe her? And yet you have believed the woman who made an accusation against Senator Al Franken, the women who made accusations against Roy Moore.
I didn't know if I believed them or not. Why do you want me to accept the accusation and not test it? Is it okay to ask Ms. Ford? There are women who have been abused that never come forward. To those who say if it really happened, she would have said something, there are women who take this to their grave. There are children who are being abused right now. But I am a lawyer. I'm not going to assume that he's guilty. If you can't tell me the year, the month, the place, and everybody you named said it didn't happen, what am I supposed to do? Just abandon every concept we hold dear in our legal system to get an outcome? I will not do that. If you're expecting me to go ahead and ignore the fact that she cannot tell me when it happened, where it happened, and everybody she named have been there said it didn't happen, I'm supposed to go ahead and ruin this guy's life when all the evidence suggests he's not that way? I will not do that.
I understand that 2 men have come forward today,
Yeah.
that Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee have spoken with them, that say they may have been the man who assaulted
Right.
Dr. Ford. I understand one of them was viewed as not credible. What about the other man?
One's crazy as a loon. I don't believe the other one. I'm not gonna play this game. You got.
So you don't believe either? You don't believe either of these men who said they attacked Dr. Ford?
I can't. Yes, I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't. I
so
think
they're not relevant. That's
what to me that would get me off the hook from having to make a hard decision. I don't know if it's a case of mistaken identity. I do know this is 35 years ago. Everything I know about Judge Kavanaugh suggests he's not this kind of person. Miss Ford, there's no doubt in my mind there was some trauma in her life, but we live in a country where you're presumed innocent and you have to corroborate accusations of felonies, and there is no corroboration here. It's not that I don't like Dr. Ford. It's not that I don't understand women are being abused. They are, but sometimes people are accused of things they didn't do.
Senator, thank you. Senator Lindsey Graham on the Judiciary Committee. We'll be watching. Thank you very much. Now let's send it back to Gayle and John.
Thank you, Norah.